And so, ladies and gentlemen, in order to address this, we, the government decided that we need to settle these pending bills. And to do so, it decided to establish a pending bills committee, which was gazetted on the 29th September last year, with a team of 18 members. And during the inauguration of the committee in November last year, the president asked that we add more women. And we therefore subsequently gazetted another 4 members through Gazette Notice number 266 of 22nd December 2023. And we also added 2 members of the Secretariat. And so the committee has started its work, and today we wanted to brief you on the progress.
Well, that is Treasury PS Dr. Chris Kipto with an update on the progress on pending bills. Well, we shall be keeping you updated. For now, we move on to health matters, where the Ministry of Health is urging the public to exercise high levels of hygiene in the wake of increased cases of the red eye disease. Nairobi and Kisii counties are the latest to record infections, the disease that was first reported in Mombasa County.
In the latest red eye disease alert by the Ministry of Health, Nairobi County has registered 3 cases and Kisii County 1 case. On Thursday last week, the Mombasa County Health Department issued an alert on the outbreak of the red eye disease, saying that 150 cases had been reported at various health facilities in the county. Red eye disease spreads through touching the eyes of infected persons or contaminated surfaces, then touching your eyes. Though it spreads very fast, rarely does it cause long-term complications to the eyes. To avoid infection, the public is urged to wash hands frequently and keep them off the face, avoid sharing towels with family members who are infected, and disinfect high-touch surfaces, especially in case of infection. If affected, you are advised to take time off work or school to avoid spreading it to others. For mild symptoms, apply a cold compress over the eyes with a wet face towel and avoid self-medication. Persons with severe symptoms such as redness, discharge, swelling and bleeding should seek medical attention urgently. Nancy Okware, Lunchtime News.
More than 30 children orphanages from Makueni, Kaiti and Kilome constituencies in Makueni County have received food aid from the Anita Mbinya Foundation. Makueni County First Lady Anita Mtula, who runs the foundation, highlighted the importance of prioritizing funding for orphanages that play a pivotal role in nurturing and caring for children who have no parental care.
Why we chose the OVCs is because that most of the people tend to give in schools and institutions, maybe primary schools and secondary schools, and we realized that the OVCs are quote-unquote the neglected lot. So we thought that we could stand in the gap, because nobody, or rarely, do they get this sort of hand extended to them.
A section of human rights groups and youth leaders in Kilifi County have expressed their dissatisfaction with the ongoing case against controversial preacher Paul Mackenzie and other suspects implicated in the Shakahola tragedy. According to Matthias Shipeta of Haki Africa, the case should view victims as witnesses and not suspects and prosecute the main suspect. Shipeta also claims that the detention of the victims violates their rights. At the same time, Kilifi County Youth Parliament President Jacinta Mbeyu called on the government to fast-track release of results from DNA samples of bodies retrieved from Shakahola.
Hatujafurahia vile kesi zinaendelea, haswa kesi za wale ambao wamepelekwa kotini kwa makosa ya mauaji na mengine, wale kwa victims wa Shakahola. Letu tu ni kusema katika swala la victims na suspects, unajua kuna watu wengi tuliwaokoa kule tukiwa tunaamini ya kwamba ni victims, lakini kwa sasa wamepelekwa kotini na wanashtakiwa. So swala hili la victims na suspects, tunaomba serikali na koti iangalie swala hili, kwa sababu tunaamini ya kwamba wengi wa wale ambao wamepelekwa pale kotini, kuna wengine ni victims kwa sababu walishawishiwa kwenda sehemu ile, wakafunga na watoto wao, na wengine wakakufa, na baadhi yao pia wale ambao walifunga pia walikufa. Kwa hivyo lazima tuangalie kwa jicho la victims, sio tu katika hali ya kuwaeka na kuwashtaki.
DNA tunapata zilichukuliwa, samples zilichukuliwa, lakini bado majibu hayajatoka. Yale ambayo yametoka ni watu kidogo tu. Kwa hivyo ni mpaka lini watu hao wataweza kuketi hapa, maisha yao hayaendelei wakisubiria serikali iweze kuwapatia majibu ya ni lini watu wao wataweza kupatikana.
In other news, residents of Korea East Sub-County have raised concern over increased cases of cattle theft in the area. Now led by Joseph Muita, the residents expressed distress, citing the loss of over 120 cattle to rustlers in the past year. Despite their efforts, attempts to recover the stolen cattle have proven futile. They said although some of the cattle were reportedly reclaimed by security officers, they were never returned to the rightful owners. Nchimaru West MCA Wambiru called on the government to intensify efforts in combating cattle theft in the region, emphasizing its negative impact on the development.
Tunaomba serikali ichukue hatua, itusaidie, irejeshe hizo ng'ombe mara moja. Tumewapa masaa 24 kwa sababu nitaangia tarehe 12 mpaka saa hizi hatujaona chochote. Na hii imekuwa Kiswahili ambao inakuwa inachurudia rudia. Ng'ombe sikienda huko asirudishwe. Ng'ombe huaga ndio inapeleka mtoto shule, ndio inalima, na ina affect a good number of households.
Murang'a Women's Sacco, comprising over 2,500 members, is on the verge of losing its building situated near Murang'a University following accrued debt of 80 million shillings. According to the Sacco's chairperson, Phyllis Moraya, the building, which houses hostels for students, was able to fetch the group over 300,000 shillings in rent every month, which facilitated repayment of the 61 million shilling loan they had acquired to construct it. The women group has since faced a setback after the COVID-19 pandemic in repayment of the loan, and they're now calling on the government through cooperatives, micro and small enterprises. Cabinet Secretary Simon Chelugui to come to their aid.
We have managed to pay an amount of 34 million from the savings, from the things that we do, from the small things that we do. So kindly, if you consider our request, come in and help us.
Now, property worth millions of shillings was reduced to ashes on Tuesday night after fire gutted down business premises at Kitengela town in Kajiado County. The fire is suspected to have been caused by an electrical fault in one of the stalls before spreading fast to a furniture shop, mobile phone shop, salon, electronics shop and a boutique. Efforts by the rescue team from the county to put out the fire were futile as they were unable to access the site.
A section of business fraternity in Kitengela town is counting losses after fire gutted down their business premises on Tuesday night. It is suspected that one of the stall owners connected power illegally, prompting an electric fault. The raging fire destroyed parts of the Sidai Hotel.
Ni watu wengi wameenda hasara. Tunaomba kaunti inunue masima moto ya kusima.
A furniture shop, a mobile phone shop, a saloon, an electric shop and a boutique. Jotham Oparanya, an eyewitness, said the 8:30 p.m. inferno was characterized by gas cylinders explosions, hampering efforts to salvage property. The traders watched helplessly as the fire continued to spread.
Masimamoto wakaitwa wakitengela Kajiado County. Hao masimamoto walichukua kama dakika 20 kukuja. Baada ya kukuja tena wakakuja wakamaliza dakika 20 tena kuseti, ni kama hawakuwa tayari kwa kuzima moto.
Hundreds of onlookers who blocked both the Namanga Highway and the service lane made it difficult for the fire engines to access the burning premises.
Kuendelea hapo gari yetu ya zimamoto ikafika. Ukweli vijana walijaribu. Kuongea ukweli walijaribu. Shida pia hata wananchi, kitu nataka kuwaambia tu, wakati shida ikitoka kama hii, mwache kifungwa. Nyinyi si zimamoto, nyinyi si magari, mnazuia gari mpaka ifiki kuzima ile moto.
Zimamoto za hii moja ya Kajiado ilifika mapema, moto ikiwa kidogo, wakazimazima, wakatuambia maji imeisha. So ilitoka all the way from Mad River.
Some onlookers left their vehicles in the middle of the road unattended. A section of the youth, on the other hand, tried to make a kill by accessing the premises for scrap metals. The hardest hit was the multi-million furniture outlet, as everything was reduced to ashes. At least 30 million shillings worth of furniture is said to have been burned. Timothy Kipnusu, for Lunchtime News.
The High Court in Embu has dismissed a preliminary objection filed by a section of residents living in the disputed 44,000 acres Moya settlement scheme land, seeking to dismiss a petition by a group of elders from Wambiru community who are laying claim over the land. In their objection, the residents sought to have the petition struck out on the grounds that the court did not have jurisdiction to hear the case.
Environment and Land Court Judge Anthony Kanyaro, while dismissing the objection, said it lacked merit because the petitioners are not the owners of the disputed 44,000 acres land.
Any interested party entertaining the notion or belief that they can join a case and ask for it to be struck out or dismissed is obviously laboring under serious misdirections in law. A preliminary objection should be hitched on admitted, unopposed, and or solid, incontrovertible facts.
A section of elders from Gome clan who attended the ruling welcomed the verdict, maintaining they were the bona fide owners of the disputed land. The elders also objected the move by the government to solve the ownership dispute surrounding the Moya settlement scheme through alternative dispute mechanism, adding they would only support it if it excludes parcels already subdivided and titled.
Dispute resolutions, hata sisi tunaipenda, lakini lazima iwe sio serikali inaturushusha wale wanagombania Moya wakae chini. Ni wale wako Moya wanagombania Moya ndio watapata nafasi waone muhimu ya kukaa chini, si ati kuturuhusiwa na serikali.
For Lunchtime News, I'm Joseph Wahungu.
A section of women in the Gio Village, Limuru constituency are up in arms against the increased sale of illicit brew and hard drugs in the area. Speaking during a peaceful protest in the area, the women lamented that due to the vices, the men had literally been turned into zombies. The agitated women said the area has lost 5 men from indulgence in illicit liquor. They called upon Kiambu County government led by Governor Kimani Wamatangi to recall all licenses of bars in the villages.
Kuna virabu 3 na ni pahali pamoja. Hapa watu wanakufa. Kuna watu 5 tumesika. Hata mmoja wa mwisho tulimzika Friday last week na alikufa juu ya pombe. Hatutaki pombe.
Na wengine watu mnaona vile wanakaa kwa mtaa. Wote ni warevi. Sisi wote unaona ni warevi. Sasa mtatusaidia aje? Hata wale wengine wamekimbia huko kwa mauti huko. Sasa mnataka tufanye namna gani? Kujeni mtusaidia.
The Media Council of Kenya intends to construct offices for journalists in Kilifi County. MCK CEO David Omoyo says the council is aware that most media houses have closed shop at the county level to the disadvantage of journalists in developing their profession. He was speaking during the launch of Kilifi County Journalists Club. Kilifi County government also committed to support journalists in their line of duty by, among others, giving them information they require.
Serikali ya kaunti imehakikisha kwamba itawasaidia wanahabari na mbunge wa eneo hili kwamba tusaidie wanahabari ili waweze kupata eneo la kufanya kazi. na pia mipango mbalimbali kama pengine mafunzo, semina na workshop kwa kusaidia wanahabari ili wakaweza kufanya kazi yao vizuri, kubadilishana mawazo na pia kuweza kuungana na kuweza kupata vyanzo vya habari na kazi zingine.
Tutasupport watu wa media kwa sababu tunajua ya kwamba tunapofanya kazi pamoja hii Kilifi County tutaipeleka mbali. Ni lazima kama serikali watu wajue tunafanya nini.
Contractors in Kericho County have moved to court following the hiking of annual business permits by the county government from 5,000 to 23,000 shillings, saying it has affected other businesses across the county. Robert Ngeno from Kericho Center for Human Rights said there is a public outcry over the enforcement of the Finance Act 2023, with the business community terming the charges as very exorbitant. A case was filed on Tuesday by the contractors in the Kericho Court under a certificate of urgency, and an inter-parties hearing has been scheduled for February 20th, 2024.
With the cases that we have in court, it's much about the payment of money that is not in the act, and that is the concern. That is why we are in court. I also found invoices of hotels where the act indicates that they are supposed to pay 8,000 shillings. But the invoices we are getting here shows that they are supposed to pay 20,000.
It wasn't fair, and the public participation was not done to us, and we were not aware about what we have consulted with the assembly, and they say they are not aware. We are just aware about 10K, which is in the Finance Act 2023-2024.
Kenya Forest Service, together with Kiambu National Polytechnic and Kenya Medical Training Institute Gatundu, have planted over 3,000 trees of indigenous species at Kinale Forest. During the tree planting exercise, where 10 acres of demarcated forest areas were adopted, the Medical Institute's principal, Kelly Oluoch, noted that the exercise will aid in combating the effects of climate change.
After coming out of one of the country's worst droughts that led to loss of lives and property, climate proponents have come out with strategies to cushion the effects of climate change, lest to fall back. The script is not different for Kiambu National Polytechnic and Kenya Medical Training Institute Gatundu branch, who partnered with Kenya Forest Service to plant over 3,000 indigenous trees at Kinale Forest. Speaking during the exercise, Kenya Medical Institute Principal Kelly Oluoch emphasized the importance of planting trees and adopting demarcated forests.
Miti ni muhimu sana. First, we have animals that depend on trees for their livelihood. Us as human beings consume fruits that are from trees. The trees are important because they clear the air. They make sure the air is clean for us to breathe fresh air. So we need to make sure that as much as possible, we have at least 10% of our country covered by trees.
Sentiments echoed by Kenya Forester Boniface Mbitu and Kenap environment scientist.
Come rainy season, we should extend our areas so that area is reserved. Tumeongea na wakubwa wamekubali to reserve your area for both institutions. At least we can be having these more often.
Wambiru Polytechnic ground tumejaza. Tumepanda everywhere. Kuna miti everywhere. That's why we decided to come here and look for more space for planting more and more trees.
The exercise, which targets to restore Kinale Forest, also contributes to the President's directive of planting 15 billion trees in the next 10 years. Opicho Chemtai for Lunchtime News.
Well, that report by Opicho Chemutai brings us to our first break here on Lunchtime News. Don't go too far, we still have more news coming up.
Foreign diaspora remittances.
versus traditional foreign exchange earners.
And currently we have the highest earnings from these remittances through labor migration. We can go up to $1 trillion in remittances just because of the earnings that we get through labor migration.
What has occasioned the big shift? As she marks 1 year in office, Labour and Social Protection Cabinet Secretary Florence Bore explains the nexus between increased foreign job opportunities and the country's economic growth.
It's a very good kick. It's another goal. South Africa make it 2-0, and they are heading into the quarterfinals. Tebogo Bakwena, stunning free kick. Bafana are on their way to the last 8 of the Africa Cup of Nations, and the hot favourites Morocco are exiting the party. What another massive upset at this wonderful tournament.
Probably the biggest upset of the tournament. Tournament favourites, the Moroccans, stunned.
Now let's talk business. Agronomists in Busia County are rallying the youth to join farmer groups and embrace finger millet farming to take advantage of a ready market. Busia County Director of Agriculture Samson Kashina says farmer groups are key in negotiating for cheaper farm inputs as well as better prices by leveraging the economies of scale.
Finger millet is a cereal that is grown in parts of Kenya, such as western and lake basin regions. The grain is used for food and brewing, and it's stocked as animal feed. In Busia County, over 1,200 farmers have decided to revive finger millet farming after the introduction of early maturing varieties.
Tutakuwa tunasajili wakulima ili wao ambao tunajua kwa hakika hawa wanahitaji hizi mbegu baada ya kuhamasishwa. Sasa tutawaambia wale ambao wana supply hizi mbegu, hapa kuna wakulima 1,000, 2,000 ambao wanahitaji hizi mbegu. Haitakuwa demand ya kubahatisha, itakuwa tunajua kabisa kwamba hawa wakulima wanahitaji.
Speakers at a meeting that brought together stakeholders in finger millet farming highlighted the need to support farmers access quality seeds.
Cha muhimu ni kusema madini ya iron, ni ya zinc na ya selenium ambayo ni muhimu sana kwa ukuaji wa ubongo wa mtoto na hata kwa watu wazima.
They said farmer groups were key for negotiations for farm inputs as well as market to the benefit of the farmer.
We shall have aggregation centers in every ward, and this will be run by cooperatives, and of course with the indulgence of the Department of Trade as well, so that whatever the farmers produce, they produce what already has a market, an identified market.
Edna Murungi for Lunchtime News.
Stakeholders within the digital space are calling upon organizations and institutions to create digital safety plans to establish boundaries and rules for responsible online behavior. This emerged during the launch of the Child Safeguarding Association of Kenya, the first of its kind, where players noted that interventions by state and non-state actors are paramount to safeguarding minors' futures.
Made our clarion call to partnership and ensure that we have the conversation, as I keep saying, beyond the policies, beyond the organization. So today we focused on talking to our partners, getting government involvement as well in our processes of child safeguarding in Kenya. We're looking at getting more policy discussions ongoing within the safeguarding space, but most important is getting the child at the forefront of any safeguarding issues, online, offline, around this country.
Public and private schools should infuse more technology in their operations to align with the evolving needs of the academic landscape, where technology plays a pivotal role in facilitating effective learning experiences. Education Director General Dr. Elias Abdi says there is need to streamline investments to contribute to development of skilled workforce. He was speaking when Epson Kenya donated printers, projectors and visualizers to 80 schools in rural and underprivileged communities.
So in the second wave, we will donate a classroom bundle. The bundle will include a package of printers, a visualizer, and also a projector. So this bundle, you can call it a classroom of the future. What it's going to do is it's going to ensure equal learning opportunities for each and every learner across the region.
Covered quite some ground at the Ministry of Education. And therefore, the vision behind this project is not just about connectivity. It's about empowerment, progress, and opening doors to a world of possibilities. Education to us is the cornerstone of development, and access to quality resources plays a pivotal role in shaping the future of our children.
Rosemary talked about infrastructure limitations, and I'll come back to that, but we also see the need for partnerships. Not everybody does everything in the space of providing digital education.
Looking here. Okay, here.
President William Ruto is rallying support for a comprehensive reform agenda for multilateral development banks ahead of the April 2024 International Development Association IDA 21 meeting to be held in Kenya. Among President Ruto's proposed reforms is to have the representation of beneficiaries' voices in decision-making processes of multilateral development banks.
IDA donor partners, representatives from borrower countries, and World Bank management come together once every 3 years to determine IDA policies and replenish IDA funds. This year, 4 meetings have been scheduled to negotiate the policy and financing framework for IDA 21, and the final replenishment package will be announced in December 2024. Kenya is expected to host the International Development Association IDA 21 meeting in April 2024. Ahead of the meeting, President William Ruto is rallying leaders and international partners to support comprehensive reforms. While in Italy, President Ruto held discussions with Italian President Sergio Mattarella, Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, and the EU Council President Charles Michel to support IDA 21 replenishment with the specific proposed reforms. The reforms include addressing the critical issue of representation in decision-making processes to ensure beneficiaries' voices are heard in shaping policies with financial institutions. He is also keen on redesigning of the International Development Association deployment by prioritizing alignment with borrower needs over predetermined agendas set by donor countries. President Ruto says this will be a policy shift away from patronage by emphasizing a partnership approach. The head of state's other policy reform proposals advocates for increased concessional funding from a strong IDA 21 replenishment, enabling beneficiary nations to avoid exploitation by predatory lenders with higher interest rates. Ian Muse, Lunchtime News.
And in other news, we cross over to GPU, where the Principal Secretary, State Department for Broadcasting and Telecommunications, Ministry of Information Communications and the Digital Economy, Professor Edward Kisiangani, is addressing members of the Fourth Estate on the issue on public advertising. Let's listen in.
Evelyn Givenchy from the ministry. Good afternoon, Martin Wandi from MTV. Good afternoon, Fidel Kizito from Capital FM. Good afternoon, Brother Pamela, Ministry. Covenant Journalist, KBC Radio. No, I think that you're not KBC Radio. Good afternoon, for you is my name, Kennedy Broadcasting Corporation.
Good
afternoon, everybody. My name is Enoch Mahaka, managing editor.
Thank you very much. The other officers, the PS will introduce. PS, over to you.
Yes.
Sorry, one more.
Good afternoon. My name is Mercy Singh from AD National.
Yes, and there's a lady who walks in.
Good afternoon, Mr. Wambiru from AD Yes, thank you very much. Good afternoon. I welcome you here, and I think since this was a session for introduction, we just need to recognize that we have a lot of our officers in the ministry here. Miriam Rahedi is the head of the director of public communication. She's here. Then you have at the back the acting director, GA Michael Okidi. GA is the government advertising agency. Then of course the director of information, Joseph Koech. And then our legal officer here, Christopher Maina. And then of course the head of administration, secretary to administration, Yapan. And then of course the man who organizes everything, the director of public administration, is a director of public administration. Communication. Public. Time with this media briefing, it is not the usual media briefing you get. I just wanted to catch up with you. It's long since we had an interaction. Just catch up with you and find out how you are doing, because the activities of this ministry have a direct bearing with what you do. So just to see your faces and catch up. Then secondly, to just tell you that in government a lot of things are happening, and you have very frequently been informed by our government spokesperson a couple of very many things happening. And for us in government, the things that are happening are just part of our better plan, because we committed to achieve certain things in government while in office. And I'm sure you have noticed that His Excellency the President has been almost everywhere in the villages in the Republic prosecuting this agenda. I explained to the people our challenges, sitting with them to listen to their problems, but also encouraging them that the challenges we have in government are not just challenges that are unique to us alone. Other countries are also facing the same challenges. The most important thing is how to tackle the challenges, and he has offered a lot of solutions. As as government ourselves within our systems, PSS, we also have been working on solutions to make sure that things move forward. So the government is very active in this, and you have heard it elsewhere, and you have seen it too. In the digital world, you know how many digital hubs we have been doing. We are on course to develop digital hubs across the constituencies, and you saw the CS and myself in Bungoma. The CS has been in many other places, Meru. Even the launching of Wi-Fi hotspots is an ongoing process, and we are on course. With regard to the information superhighway, with our sister department, ICT, this ministry has given out 5 billion shillings to support the information superhighway connectivity, and it's on course. We released the money last year, and the connectivity is going on. So we anticipate that we are going to achieve quite a lot of things in that sector. In agriculture, I think you have seen what the subsidized fertilizer is doing, and in many parts of the country with good rainfall, I think the food situation is not going to be as critical as it was over 1 year ago. So I think the reforms that have taken place in the education sector, you also know that we now have an open university. We have already given a tender, advertised for the post of Vice Chancellor for that open university, which will make millions of people across the world, including our own, to access education on the online platform using the open university. At the ministry level, you know, you had questions about what was happening at the Communication Authority of Kenya, and we have already recruited the Director General there now. Nobody's acting at the Communication Authority. You deal with it every day. So there is no crisis at the Communication Authority. We have fixed the problem of leadership. We also have already recruited the CEO for Kenya Institute of Mass Communication. Nobody's acting there. They have a substantive tenure now. And we shortly will be announcing the chief executive for the Kenya Yearbook, because the interviews have been done, and therefore what is remaining is to just announce the winner. So the acting status there will also disappear very, very, very shortly. So a couple of things that you really just need probably to know is that in terms of creating the digital jobs, I think we have created about 968, and trained even these young people to acquire digital skills. And this has happened. You can go to, if you have some time and you are in the nearest digital hub, maybe in Activate, just check. You will be shocked by what you will find there. In Bungoma last week, there is a kid at Sangalo called Brian Masibo, who told us that in the past 1 year he has made 2 million shillings from the digital jobs. So the challenge is how many other people should we connect so that we create more digital jobs. So if you check, those who started early have started making money, and they are working with American companies. Some of them don't go to bed until morning because they start doing their digital jobs around 2, 3, depending on which part of the world they are working. They don't need a passport. You know, this is a progressive thing that your own relatives, my own relatives can benefit, your own friends, and it's going on in our country. So this is within the framework of what we intended to achieve. So Konza City is also on course, and I think you will see a lot of activities there. And given that it's also hosting one of our data centers, I think everybody is going to benefit from Konza. Now, so far we have rolled out about 1,210 Wi-Fi hotspots. This is substantial because it means that very shortly we shall achieve our objective. If you look at the 5-year period and we start accelerating, we are likely to achieve our objective of having at least 25,000 hotspots in the next 5 years. Now, when you add that to the connectivity of 100,000 kilometers, I think if we can achieve that in the next 5 years, we are in office, we shall have done the Kenyan people a lot of good. So everybody in this government is busy, including the ministry officials, to make sure that we achieve our objective and to support His Excellency, the President, to achieve his promise to the people of Kenya. I think the last thing is that we have reduced the money that goes into government advertisement. And maybe because that also affects you, I'll spend some time around there. We have reduced it by about 47%. And when you compare that with what I told you about Konza, what I've said in agriculture, you know that we are making a lot of progress. I think you have to recognize the reforms in the education sector. They are starting to bear fruit. But we require a lot of investment and we require a lot of discipline. I think as government, we do not think that we are perfect. No. But what I'm explaining to you as taking place in our country is not a manifestation of a failed system, a broken system. I don't think a broken system is a system where you create, you build 1,000, you set up 1,210 hotspots which are giving our students, kids, job opportunities. I don't think that when you reduce advertisement money so that you spend less on advertisement, you are a collapsed system. I don't think when you subsidize people in agriculture and make sure that our farmers have enough food, our people have enough food to feed themselves, I don't think you can say that is a failed system. If you bring new investors in Konza, that doesn't mean that you have and you have probably 70 now online. That doesn't show a broken system. If you are continuing with connectivity and as government you have allocated 5 billion to support our superhighway infrastructure, that's not a manifestation of a broken system. So, and of course we have other key commitments. We shall continue with the connectivity, create more jobs in the next year, facilitate e-commerce. There have been talks about reforms in the e-commerce sector. The national addressing system policy is ready. Many documents are at different stages of drafting to make sure that Posta gets money out of the national addressing system. You know, if you don't have a national addressing system, e-commerce becomes difficult because how do you do last mile deliveries? So with the support of the international, the UN, we have at least a policy which we can use to do the national addressing system. The KIGA regulations also, which affect you, are on course. The regulations are ready, but we have also set up a sector working group for this space. And you know, most of your members have joined us. So that means the government recognizes the value of the media. That's why the people who are now patronizing our sector working group are from the media private sector. Subeda, one of them. So it means we value you. This is one of my reasons for catching up to still assure you that we value the media very much, and that's why you are working with us, and we shall continue working with you without any discrimination. I want also to assure you that people have this tendency to keep saying, you know what, if you didn't support one side of government, one side of the political divide, then you are discriminated against. The president has told us clearly, and we're doing it. Nobody should be discriminated against because of their political orientation. This government is not a government for a particular wing. It's a government for all Kenyans. So nobody, and if that's happening even in your media houses, report it to us. We shall act. Those of you who have come to my office as individuals, we don't ask about your political orientation. All PSS can't ask about political orientation. All ministers, we serve all Kenyans without discrimination. So as a ministry, we serve media. Our relationship with the media is without discrimination. So if you have had that kind of impression, please know that that is not our official position. And I think we have been working with you. So if you are in our sector working group suggesting how we can improve this space, that is not a reflection of a government which has broken down or a system which has broken down. I'm repeating that because the broken system came from you, but it is not true. So I just think that if the system is broken, maybe the pot is also broken. Is it true that the pot is broken with these things that we have done? I think you need to say that yes, there could be things we can do better, which is a fact. But to tell all Kenyans that the system has broken and specifically go to 7 months, if we are not discriminating against you as a media, don't discriminate against government. Is it possible that the problems of Kenyatta Hospital began 7 months ago? Is it the crisis which was there at the immigration, did it start 7 months ago? I think the most important thing in this country today is to look for solutions for our problems. Whatever we do, even if we try to point out an accusing finger, won't help. What can we do better? On the e-citizen platform, which is just about ready, you see, first of all, in terms of systems, the systems to operate at very high levels of efficiency, it's almost ready, but it is operating now. We have migrated almost now, probably, we are almost 17, at various levels, 17,000 services on e-citizen. And you know, the revenue leakages, you can go and check with the Treasury. Revenue collection in Kenya has improved. We are collecting more money than we used to do. In one organization, which I won't name, a government organization, they were collecting about 2 million per month. When they migrated to e-citizen, they moved to 27, and now they are approaching the 50 million mark. So it works because these leakages that you used to see in government revenue were because there were no systems and the people had different pay points. So these services will also attract some little charge, and that is how the revenue collection will improve. So whatever is happening is for the good of the Kenyan people. So I want to urge you, media people, to be positive. that even if certain things are not working to your satisfaction, the system has not broken down. The government is working, and it's just a matter of time. When the story of this government is told years later, you will realize that this is the best administration, the most organized administration you have had since independence. So, now that I've mentioned that, let me just maybe conclude my remarks by just addressing one small little thing which maybe has come to you but without clarification of facts. You know the work of the government advertising agents, and my officers are here. They preside over the advertisements and announcements of government declarations of job opportunities and many other things. Government tenders are also advertised through us. So the Directorate of Government Advertisement is under my office. So you have heard some stories circulating about the recent award of the tender for advertisement to one media house. There have also been claims, ladies and gentlemen, that there was no tender advertised, and you saw it on one of the media houses. A respected media personality chairing discussions on this issue claimed, after had your own tender, it was not advertised. We never saw it. So it looks like people in government, including your peers, just sat down and decided that so and so must be given a tender. So, because this is one of our achievements to reduce government advertisement, I just want to take you through something that can help you to understand what happened. On 26th of September 2023, a tender was advertised in MyGov and was circulated by the Daily Nation. That MyGov was circulated by the Daily Nation. This tender was about a contract to carry government advertisements, print advertisement in media houses. And you know, this one came against the backdrop of a renewal because we were not ready, so we renewed the earlier contract by a few months. On the 11th of October, the tender closing date arrived and the tenders were opened the same day. Ladies and gentlemen, the bidders for this tender to advertise were the following: Media Network, Media Max Network, Nation Media Group, Convergency Africa Media, Postal Corporation of Kenya, 5. These were the bidders. But there was also Serving Limited, which is, there was also Standard. Now, when they did the bidding, the tender evaluation team met, and some of them are here, including the director of GA. All these guys you see here, my officers, most of them are members of the tender system. And they will tell you, if you talk to them, they'll tell you the PS doesn't come to the tender committees to direct what they do. So, 14th to 17th December, I think 2023, was the period when now the evaluations were taking place. 3, no, not 14th to the 17th, forget about that. I'm just talking about we shall come back to that later, because the tenders closed on the 11th of December, of October 2023. Now the period that follows that is now the whole legal process about these tenders. So 3 bidders after the end of the evaluation sailed through and proceeded to the final negotiation stage, which is the financial negotiation. These people in tendering terms are called responsive bidders, which means they had all the documentation and they qualified to move to the next stage. And these were nation media, which actually had carried the evaluation, Media Max, and finally Convergence Africa Media. The 3 sailed through to the final stage. Ladies and gentlemen, the non-responsive ones are the ones that always have one document missing, one condition unmet, or the other. And these ones were Standard Media Group. The claim that there was no tender came from this media house. But they came. They were here. So which tender were they responding when they came here? Responding to? So they were a Standard Media Group who didn't come because the laws ask for you, authorize us to ask for a certain document. The document is, which they missed, was we wanted information certified by the CEO of the actual print run for the last 6 months, which they didn't present in the initial bidding, but their competitors did. So that's how they didn't make it to the next level. Nation gave us. Serving Media Limited, SAVME Limited, did not qualify because when we checked on the KRE portal, their KRE compliance certificate had been withdrawn. So they couldn't move. Posta Corporation only bidded for distribution, but the contract was about distribution and the printing. So we also disqualified our own Postal Corporation. They wanted that job so that they can make money to move to the next, to solve their problems. We refused. Despite the fact that we have helped Posta recently to get some money to pay salaries to our relatives who work there, our friends who work there. 540 million was released by the government to help pay the Posta debts. That is not a reflection of a broken system. Then, so, when this was done, I think there is a bit that you really need to know about now the final negotiations, because that is what ends the story. The 3 media houses that qualified were called for negotiations, I think, on 13th of December. Is that correct, Okidi? 13th of December. The idea is the final negotiations is now that you have made this final stage, can you come down? So when that opportunity presented itself, the ministry team led by the director.
Well, that is Principal Secretary, State Department for Broadcasting and Telecommunications, Professor Edward Kisiangani, giving an update on various developments regarding, or rather including public advertising, job creation, appointments, data centers, revenue collection, digitization, among others. Well, we shall be keeping you updated. That brings us to a close here on Lunchtime News. Thank you so much for choosing Lunchtime News. Our sign language interpreter is Len Saldingo. My name is Wambiru. Enjoy the rest of the afternoon.